Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well, or good morning, depending on where you are. I'd like to welcome you to the webinar on developing effective sales teams and premium business intelligence. I'm delighted to introduce my two colleagues with me today, Mr. Mark Sclaire. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Very welcome. And also Mr. Hug Kutchu. Hi, Hug.
Hi, Dave. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Just a quick update about ABiQ. For those of you who don't already know, ABiQ is a premium business intelligence platform. We help clients make more informed decisions and improve sales processes by validating and verifying contacts and projects and phone numbers with email addresses across Africa, UAE, and Saudi markets. Today, we'd like to really cover two topics that support businesses across the globe. First of all, we're going to start with Hug, and we'd like to talk about the significance of data and business intelligence. Then we'll follow up with how to develop frontline sales professionals and maximize performance and results with Mark Sclaire. But Hug, if we can just start with you, and if you could explain and just talk a bit more about your experience with data and let us know your feelings on the topic.
Thank you, Dave. First of all, I'd like to say hello to all our participants. I have experience with data, maybe 10 to 15 years experience with data, because I've completed master's degree using quantitative method in South Africa at the University of Johannesburg in finance, and also a PhD in finance at the University of Bath in the UK, also using a quantitative method or analysis using longitudinal data sets. So I've been around using data for more than 10 years, so I know the value of data, for evidence-informed decision, for innovation, and also for targeted interventions. So to come back to today's topic, I think something I really want our participants to understand is that there's a direct link between data and sales. For example, if you want to improve your sales, usually you have three strategies that you can adopt. The first one is to improve the quality of your service, because the client will then use your service and then speak about it for you. The second strategy is that you can also invest a lot in the marketing of your product. Coca-Cola does it very well, for example. And the third strategy is a mixture of both of them. So in each of these strategies, you need data. For example, for the quality of your service, you need analyze data on the client feedback. You need to analyze data on the subsector of activity which your company belongs. For the marketing, you need to analyze data to know exactly which channel or which vehicle to use. Is it TV or is it social media, to reach out to your audience? And you see, so you need data for evidence-informed decision. Also, something that I really want our audience to understand today is that data also help you with the resilience of your business. For example, if you have data, you can take evidence-informed decision away from intuition and experience-based decision. In the case of Africa, for example, a lot of managers, rely on intuition-based decision or experience-based decision away from evidence-informed decision. And evidence-informed decision are proof, according to research, that it is good for the resilience of your business, for the long-term sustainability of your business. Also, you have data-driven that drive innovation. If you want to improve, especially if there's a lot of competition with the AfCFTA now, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, where all 55 or right now maybe 30 countries in Africa should trade, with free borders. So if you're a company, let's say in Rwanda or in Congo or in South Africa, you should face competition now from Egypt and so on. So you need to improve the quality of your service, you need innovation, and you can't innovate without data. So, and the third part about the beauty of data, which I really want our African leaders or managers to understand, is that you can easily make targeted interventions. In other words, you can target the intervention that you want to do to solve a specific problem. That means you save on cost, it's sustainable, and it's also resilient, increase your resilience.
Thanks, Hug. I think that's very, very important. I think also using data is one thing, but it's about the quality of data as well that's available on the market. If people aren't getting the right sort of data at the right time, then how are they going to make those decisions that's going to affect their businesses or their countries?
I agree with you, Dave. It's also based on the quality of data, or if I may say, the data must be relevant to you. When I speak of relevance, it means that you, for example, the ABiQ database, that your ABiQ platform that you have, there's a lot of data, it's massive data in there. So, but if you're a company, before you approach the ABiQ, you have access, you should have a clear understanding of your objective as a company. You should have a clear understanding of your short-term objectives as a company. And then within each department, each team member should know the objective of the week and transform those objectives into the objective of the day, so that when you access the platform, you exactly know which information you want, which information you need, and information in the platform that might be useful to me as a customer, as a client, may not be useful for another company. Maybe they want that other information. So I think that in addition to have quality, the data should be relevant to you, meaning you should have a clear understanding as a company what your objectives are. If you don't know what your objectives are, it will be difficult to you to have access to a massive database. We speak this day of big data analytics, and know exactly where to go or which data you should use. So at company stage, I think that knowing what your objective of the week are, for example, transform them into objective of the day. I know I'm repeating myself, is to make sure that, maybe somebody understand me well, and then transform those objectives of the day into activities, so that you know your activity for the day that will help you reach those objectives for the day. So that when you access the database, you know exactly where to go and which information you need, so that you can use them, complete your activity of the day, and then your objective of the day.
Yeah, I think very valid point. And another thing that I wanted to add there in terms of client side and providing data, is also about managing expectations as well. And it's something that a lot of the businesses do that I know of. Once we provide the data, we then show you how to use it. We try and understand your business, what your objectives are, because each person that comes to us or any business intelligence provider has different objectives.
Absolutely.
And it's about us as the account manager to look after the client, to say, okay, this is your objective. This is, in my opinion, the best way to use the data, or this is how you can acquire the data you need. And as well as providing the data, provide the education and the knowledge so that you can use that effectively.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that what I really hope is that, I like speaking about Africa because that's my domain of expertise. I really want to change the climate of ideas, that business leaders, African business leaders, should move away from intuition and experience-based decision, more toward evidence-based decision. If Africa want to build big company, big corporate company that hire a lot of people, that give jobs to people, especially with economic condition now, that is the economic crisis because of COVID-19, we need to move away from intuition-based decision and start using data that will inform our decision. You cannot, compete, at a global stage if you don't, use a lot of data, analyze them. But companies should understand that you don't just analyze data to analyze data. You need to have clear objectives. You need to have a vision as a company, transform those vision into objectives, transform those objectives into short-term objectives, and then daily objectives, and then activities, so that you know exactly what to do when you have access to data and need this information. And also something I believe is that each company nowadays, that's my opinion, should have within the team, somebody who knows statistics, because these days you need as a manager to say, okay, I need to take this information. I need somebody to analyze this data for me. So also, you need to have somebody around the corner when you access, platform, data platform that can understand easily, the interpretation of those data, what does data may mean to the company. They are so valuable information, let's say, in I'm not making publicity for your database because I know it. So I know that there's information that can be helpful to policymakers in Africa, especially those reports that you produce once in a while, every week or month, I think. So I think that, you can have those data that can be useful for a country in Africa to evidence-informed policy, but they just don't know it because there is no one around to kind of tell them the meaning of those data, the meaning of those figures, the meaning of those graphics, that beautiful graphic that you have. So I think that we need to have somebody also, we have some skills in interpreting those data that might be useful for the company.
Thanks, Hugh. That's very interesting. I think in terms of what we do on a daily basis and the people that we speak to, one of the reasons for having this webinar was to introduce Mark and Mark Sclaire, sales training and motivation, because we meet with clients every day who need data. They want data to support their businesses. We can assist with the data side, but then in order to generate business and help your business and become profitable, there's some key tips and skills that us as individuals need to take ownership of. So I'd like to kind of hand over to Mark now. Mark, thanks for joining us. I know we introduced you earlier, but really we wanted today to spend some time with you as well, just to get an understanding on the tips, tricks, insights that you can provide. You come from business intelligence background as well. So yeah.
Again, thanks for having me on the show today, Dave. I want to take this time, first of all, to say one of my goals is to always make sure that I'm in the room or in the Zoom with people that are smarter than me. And that's definitely the case with Hugh. So really appreciate your insight there, Hugh. Thank you.
Thanks, Hugh.
Great. So I'm here today because there's potential here for you to use a service such as ABiQ, which is going to give you all the market intelligence, and it's going to be up to date and it's going to be reliable. And that is what we are looking for when it comes to gathering information. But the problem that we're facing is that we've now got this information and we're trying to develop business or develop our business, and we're going to meet with clients, and our sales skills are nowhere near the same level as what the information we have. So you have all the information, but you don't have the sales skills to be able to transfer that over to make the client see the value of your product or service, so then they sign up and start using your product and service. So me and Dave are going to go through some things now, and we're going to try and help you with this.
Yeah, I think, thanks for that, Mark. I think just to get everyone on board with what we're looking to do, I think we've got 4 main objectives today. To come. We'd like to start with talking about needs analysis and how important that is for a business. Once we've talked about some ideas around that, we're then going to talk about how we can improve the sales skills in order to close more business and win more revenue. Then we're going to focus on time management and priorities and how we can work more efficiently and smarter. And then finally, we're going to finish off with some tips or tricks on how to build morale within a team. It's a discussion point. Please feel free to ping us questions. We're all learning, we're all in this together. So we welcome any participation from anyone. I don't see any questions yet. So Mark, let's talk about needs analysis.
So the thing is, we're assuming that people actually know what needs analysis is. Yep. And the truth is, it's something that's not used hardly at all within business when it comes to selling. So needs analysis is another word for discovery. And discovery is when you're discovering about your client. You're discovering about their needs, their wants, their challenges. So I see it so often with salespeople, they just start pitching. And how do you know what to offer to somebody if you don't know what they need? And like we were discussing yesterday, people don't really know what they need. You have to kind of ask them with questions and delve into it deeper. So with the information which we get from ABiQ, which is all its market intelligence, you've now got the information, and you're then able to speak with the client because you've drilled down to exactly the type of client you're focusing on. But now we need to discover how we can help them. Because the job of a salesperson is to be a problem solver. And that comes from asking questions and listening. So the reason why we want to talk about this as well is that we all suffer from these objections that we receive from clients. And objections are horrible. It's a massive stumbling block. But the objection, the sale does not start until the client starts to object. That's what people seem to get wrong. People think that because a client's saying yes, 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 they're going to buy it. But the client only starts to show interest when they start questioning. Oh, okay, so you say you've got this many projects. Is that true? You say that content number is correct. Is that true? Then you know that you've actually got an opportunity here. So we have these discovery questions. We have this needs analysis. And because we've gathered this ammunition, and that's what this is, ammunition because we've understood their challenges, we've understood previous bad experiences, we've understood about their market needs. When they start objecting about the price, or they start objecting about reliability of the product, they've mentioned everything in their responses. So it's very important we gather the information because we want to know more about the client. But when it comes to those objections, there's nothing more vital than asking those questions at the start, because then we can understand their needs and create a solution with it.
Thanks, Mark. I think for people that haven't heard about needs analysis before, sort of, you know, the beginner's guide to needs analysis, no, we've done this in previous organizations before. And I continue using it today. So I don't go into a meeting without writing down at least, I write down 1 to 8 because I've got the questions in my head. And it's about having a conversation, isn't it? About learning from your client. And we're not going to know everything about every customer. And the only way you're going to find out is if you ask the question. So have you got any sort of like cheat sheets or some tips on how to create a good needs analysis, you know, basic format?
Well, I was going to save this till the end, but I can mention it now. I have a list of 30 questions, which are the best sort of question you can ask to a client to really understand their challenges, more about the company structure, how it's set up, what industries they're focused on, because this isn't about getting the correct name and email address, which is what most people focus on, so you can do marketing to them. No, you've got somebody on the phone, you're face to face with somebody. You want to find out their challenges. So have you used a product or service like this before? You know, that's such an easy question to ask, because all of a sudden, I mean, one of the biggest challenges we faced with market intelligence was getting a company to understand that market intelligence is needed. So if they've already used it or have experience of it, that's an absolute bonus. People used to say to me like, oh, like, the competitor, we're using a competitor. I'm like, great, that's amazing. You already understand the value of using a market intelligence platform. So those sorts of things never used to scare me. The more they knew about it, the easier it was for me. But yeah, so it's understanding like the challenges they face, and it can be like in regards to projects, like what problems do you face gathering opportunities at the moment? And they could say, I can never get hold of the correct contact person. I don't know the correct contact person. I've been told it's a execution stage and it's not even won the award yet. So ABiQ gives you all that information, which was reliable and up to date. But you can't go in there saying, well, this, and this. You have to ask. You know, good answers come from good questions. And that's why these discovery questions are so important. The client needs to feel that you're an assistant buyer. You're not there to take from them, you're there to help them. And the more you ask questions, the more the client feels that you're showing an interest and the more open they are to speak with you. But if people want to know some questions, if they want to contact, I'll be happy, or we'll be happy to send those on to them afterwards, no problem.
Thanks, Mark. That'd be great. I think I know we're focused today is on business intelligence and ABiQ, but the same skills are transferable through most sales processes. Yeah, whether you're offering a service, you're a consultant, you're a lawyer, you're a bank, you're selling bricks or concrete or cement or supply or manpower. It's all the same concept. Yeah.
But if you're a doctor and a patient comes in and you prescribe something to them without even knowing what the problems are, that patient's going to be like, you haven't even asked me what the issue is. So even a doctor, yeah, even a doctor has a list of questions that they need to ask because they need to delve into it more. And it's called like consultative selling. You're understanding their problems. You understand there's a challenge that they face. And with your products, with your service, with what you offer, you can create that solution for them. But yeah.
Have you read anything much about spin selling, Mark?
I have heard, yeah.
I've read into a little bit. I think it's a series of questioning techniques that runs through a process. I'm just curious to see if you've read up about it. I'm not going to put you on the spot, don't worry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Well, look, the thing is, and we're talking about this, if you've got a system, if you've got a process, amazing, because that's what most people lack. They put their finger in the air, they make a phone call, and they don't know what to say, they don't know what to do, they've got no structure. So whether it's spin or disc or whatever it is, whatever works, is what works. So as long as there's that process, amazing.
Even if it's a combination of all, Mark, yeah?
As long as you go on there with, like Hugh said, with like an objective, yeah, like that phone call, that meeting, you need to have something, like you gathered the information, you know what you want to do, that's it. Or if you've gone to close the deal, you've gone to close the deal. If you've gone to follow up, you've gone to follow up. But so many people, they get on the phone or they get into that meeting, have no idea. They've just been told to call these people.
Yeah, excellent. I see there might be one question come online.
Go on.
Okay, so thanks for the question, Dawson. What are your thoughts on needs as aspirations versus affiliations? Find most focus on applications. Mark, any?
Again, sorry?
Okay, can you see the question, Mark?
I think you mentioned aspirations, yeah?
Versus, as in problems. Thank you, Dawson, for explaining it to us. Aspirations as in, or versus problems, basically.
Yeah, I mean, look, clients can have a wish list of what all their problems are and how we're going to solve them. It's a salesperson's job to kind of manage that expectation as well. So with these questions, I think I'm hearing this right, like they might, and this is important as well, they may want you to do all of this, but you might not, you might only be capable of this, and that's okay. That's what you do, that's what you offer. So it's managing the expectation. But I think that answers it.
Yeah, sorry, my mistake. I misread it wrong at the beginning. I think it's what are your thoughts on sort of people's needs based on their aspirations, like what they aspire to be, or their problems, what they aspire to be or what their problems are.
Yeah, I want to know what their goals are. I want to know, like
most people tend to focus on their problems. Yeah, this is my problem. This is my problem. Not what you want to be or where you want to go. What issues are you having now?
I'm very happy for them to say what their problems are, because with what we're going to offer them, we'll create that solution. So the reason why we've come to see these people, the reason why they've brought us in, is because they have these problems and they don't know how to fix it, or they're not even aware they have a problem and they don't know how to fix it. So me coming in there and all of a sudden, you know, cracking something open, which has really revealed the problems within the business, that's amazing. Yeah. So whether it's a now problem, whether it's a future problem, there's no issue with that.
Thank you very much. Dawson, we can have another call later on to cover that. It's my mistake for blundering through that at the beginning. I think the second topic we're going to look at is we want to look at how you can improve sales skills to close more and increase revenue. So Mark, I know you do a lot of work around the skills of salespeople and what they can do. I know it's very difficult to cover that in 7 minutes. You could do a full day course on it, but yeah.
Well, I think what this all boils down to, because everyone has an excuse at the moment, okay, but because there's so many things that are happening in the world and nobody's getting away from that. But there's a question that I like to ask people, and that is, what can you control in the sale? And the answer is, I don't know if we want to open it up, see if anyone wants to answer it, see if anything comes in.
Go on, let's try it out, see how active the group is.
Go on, let's see how active people are. We'll give them 10 seconds, 10, 15 seconds.
Ask the question again, Mark.
What is the one thing you can control in the sale?
Okay, someone's answered.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm not going to say the answer just yet.
Okay.
Okay.
I can see that there's a few come in, yeah? Awesome.
Can you see the questions now, Mark?
Yeah, I can see, yeah. So perfect. I'll go straight into this. The one thing you can control in the sale is you. Now, what do I mean by this? You have control over what you learn about the product. You have control what you learn about the market, what you learn about the client, how fit and healthy you stay, how when you go to a meeting, you're ready and you know what there is that needs to know. That's what you have control over. So all of these sales skills and these improvements, it all comes down to what you can control right now. And that is your learning and your development. Now, what I like to talk about here as well is, in regards to learning and development, is 3 steps. Learn, try, apply. So everyone's got so much information out there at the moment. We all go onto YouTube, we all go into all these different places and we watch a video and we think we know how to be the best salesperson, be a doctor, whatever it is. But it's in your head. But unless you apply it, and that's why I say knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. So I've taken something, like a lot of my learning, a lot of what I learn is from watching other people and being inspired by them. I think I can work with that. Let me put that into what I'm doing. I apply it. Sorry, I try it and then I apply it. And that's where a lot of people miss out. We read so much information and we gather so much information and we don't do anything with it. Everyone's got all these bookshelves and they're so proud of them in their Zoom calls, and they've got 100 books there. And if you ask them really if they've read any of them, they're like, no, but they look good. So there's so much knowledge out there, and that's what I really like about ABiQ. And we'll go into this. It's the filtering, and it allows you to filter out all of that information that's there. And then you're actually taking that information and you're applying it to hopefully business opportunities for you. So what can you control in the sale? You can control what you're doing, your learning, your knowledge, your development, staying fit, staying healthy. That's all vital. And then when you're learning, you're trying, you're seeing what's working, and then you're applying it. Because just because it works for Dave doesn't mean it works for me. Just because it works for me doesn't mean it works for Dave. We've got to try this out. And it only comes from learning, trying, applying.
Any examples, Mark, of something in a business situation where you've done that? Well, I know, because I know you and I follow you on LinkedIn and I see all your videos and everything. Can you give us an example?
Well, I mean, this year, the past 7-8 months now, I've been doing a 1-year challenge, and it's called, it's the 1-year challenge. And every day I need to do a sales tip video. That's been my commitment. That's been my accountability. But yes, I can speak in front of people, but am I good on camera? Do I know where to stand? Do I know about lighting? Do I know anything about that? No, I didn't. But
you obviously do now, Mark.
Well, there you go. There you go. But if you track back to my first video, oh my God, it was so bad. The angle was bad. My head took up the whole screen. The wordings were terrible. The lighting
like
was
that,
bad.
Wasn't it a selfie? You were doing a selfie like that.
Exactly. It was just terrible. And, you know, it's all about the angles. That's all I can say. Lighting and angles are vital. Vital, vital, vital. But I only knew that once I started doing it. So everyone would give me a tip, do this, do this, do this, but I had to do it for myself. So we're all getting this advice. And that's why it's so important with the sales training I offer, that I come into the business and it's very interactive. It's very much like, okay, this might work for you. Let's try it out, see if it works. If it doesn't, we'll try something else, but they need to come to that conclusion themselves. But yeah, I've put myself out there. Even this webinar now, I'm putting myself out there in the public, failing my way in public to success. That's what my podcast is called. And it's documenting my journey, really. And when you see this journey I've been on so far, it's when I look back, it's like day and night from where I was to where I am now. So, but I'm putting myself out there being accountable.
Good on you, Mark. So whilst we're on the topic of being accountable, then the next topic is about time management. Got about 10 minutes to talk about this, about how to prioritize your time so that you can work smarter. Now, we've all heard the different sayings, you know, smart goals, work smarter, not harder. It's one thing saying it, and we discussed this yesterday. It's another thing applying it. So give us your input onto that.
Well, first of all, you're working smart if you're using a market intelligence tool, because
shameless plug, Mark.
There's no plug. It's I'm drilling this down because that's exactly what ABiQ and, you know, other portals do, or other databases do. It allows you to drill down to the exact specifics that you need. And the reason why I say this in regards to prioritizing time is that we all have this big fish and this big net that we cast out, and that's just not smart. That's not working smart. If you can create a list of opportunities or a list of areas which filters to exactly your needs and who you want to go out for, because who is your client? What does your client actually look like? You know, are they big businesses? Are they corporate businesses? Are they multinational businesses? And I see it so often with salespeople, they don't know who their client actually is. And I remember we actually did something like, you know, this was when old company was like, meets Mohammed. This is what our client looks like. This is what we're looking for. This is the age category. These are the sectors that they're in. These are the countries that they cover. And that's what we went for. Now, yes, other things would come into our world and we'd deal with that, but that was our focus. That's who we knew our client was. And sometimes when you've got your own stock, let's say like a property developer, for example, that's your stock. That's all it is. If people come to you, that's all you can help with. But if you're an estate agent or a real estate agent, unless you've got a specific sector, a specific area, you're casting your net out so far and you're chasing your tail constantly. So working smart is be able to drill down, but then you need to work hard. So I always say, like, you know, you can work smart, but you've got to work super hard first of all and continue to work hard with it. But it's about what this really boils down to, and this is what salespeople don't do enough of, is saying no. Saying no. Like, we're trying to get deals, we're trying to make things happen. And yes, we want to keep busy, but we need to learn to say no to a client. Now, whether that's to go somewhere to do something, or somebody within your business that's wasting your time. Maybe someone from another division is asking you to help with something and you want to help. That's our natural, that's our nature. But it's stopping you from focusing on what you need to, which is generate leads, contact the clients, book close meetings, understand their challenges, negotiate, sign them up, get them using the service and product.
You forgot the 55. You forgot the 55 follow-ups, Mark.
The 55 follow-ups, yeah, exactly. The 55 follow-ups, but you know, that's the iceberg. Everyone sees the 10% of, oh, I've hit my target, I've done so well, but it comes from that relentless work ethic, which is getting in, prioritizing your day, which really is how do you work smart in regards to, are you good in the mornings? Are you good in the afternoon, in the evenings? Maybe you're better at admin in the afternoon. But for some reason, you think it's all right to go out and do meetings when you're least energized. So when is the best time for you to work? Admin is so important. Cleaning up your CRM, cleaning up your list of opportunities. You want a clear pipeline, as you want to have visibility. So important. But we think, oh, I need to be on the phone constantly getting business. But no, like, you need to clean that pipeline. So when is a good time for admin? When is a good time for booking meetings? When is a good time to just take a moment as well?
I think it's important as well to manage your day properly. Again, easy to say, harder to do.
Yep.
Yeah, when you start on a Sunday morning here in UAE and you look at your calendar and you've got 8 meetings a day, how do you then manage that? You're in the grind, you're doing it, you've got meeting to meeting, back up. Every spare spot you've got, you're following up with the client. Half the time it'd be nice if people just said, no, I'm not interested, because then you could go, okay, thank you very much, goodbye. But yeah, I've done exercises before where you can sit down and, you know, start, say, 2 weeks in advance. Your diary's empty, start blocking times out. You know, put it in your diary. So if someone else looks there, they can see, okay, Dave's got admin every morning from 8 till 11 a.m. Then someone can't book a meeting in there for you. So I think it's important to take some time to plan your time.
Yeah, exactly. And we all get distracted so much, and it's so easy to be distracted. You think, right, I'm going to focus on this, and all of a sudden you get a WhatsApp message, all of a sudden you get an email, and before you know it, you're not working anymore. So I use something to stop me from getting distracted, and I put little notes around my desk, on my phone, on my laptop, and it's simple: get back to work. Now, get back to work and know what your priorities are and continue with them.
What physical Post-it notes, actual notes.
These little Post-it notes, and it's on my phone as well. Yeah, yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Right. Final topic of the day is how can we build morale within the team? I think we'll break that down into two sections, Mark. I'd like to talk about as a sales leader, what can you do to build morale within your team? But then also as an individual team member, how can you contribute to building morale within your team as well?
So with this, I'd like to tell a story actually, if that's all right.
Go for it. Yeah, I'll sit back.
So a company I was working at, I had a internal promotion. I stepped up and I became this leader. And I say a leader because you lead people, you don't manage people. And the team which I was about to help and take and to lead, they'd not been looked after. They'd been left to ruins, really. So the morale was low. People weren't hitting targets. People just were not happy to be there because they'd had about 5 or 6 managers in the past 2 years. So there's me coming in, and I'd worked with these people before. So all of a sudden it goes from friend to manager or leader. So I had a challenge, and I was just another person coming in. I'll probably be gone in 4 months. That's been their experience. So they were like, well, why should I give this person a chance? So what I did was I took a week's time to really sit with them, understand what they want, understand what's been bad for them, how I can help them. And with this, people just think, oh, people just want money. They just want money. Well, no, recognition. Recognition is a big thing. You had people that were working hard there, working very, very hard, and they were not getting the recognition they deserved. So I assured them that if I have anything to do with it and we start making the progress that we should be, I will get you the recognition that you want. And again, it was, prove it to me. So it's one thing saying it's another thing doing it. So with this, I made a commitment to the team. I said, we're all in the same boat together. I will communicate with you, and communication is key about everything that goes on. We're in this together, but we have to put this plan together that we're going to action and we're going to commit to, and we're going to be held accountable for it. And even in my week's review with them on what were challenges they faced, they said, well, this person isn't working, that person's not working, that person's coming in late. And I shouldn't have to punish all of them. Punish is a harsh word, but I shouldn't, because you need to kill that off, because there was people that were just coming and going because nobody was managing them. They could come and go as they wanted. But now all of a sudden I was there and I had to instill this system, and it wasn't being micromanaged. It was just saying that if we work on these steps together, we will start to get there. So they have to believe in what I was offering. And because they'd seen me be successful as a salesperson within the team, they knew that what I was doing would work. So they committed to that. And then all of a sudden, they started to hit their numbers a little bit. So the recognition started to come out. And I made a big song and dance about this because that was so important. They need to know that they were going to get that recognition. And we ended up hitting a target which was not done before in the business. And I sent an email out to the business, and the CEO of the company messaged back across the whole company. And that's never happened with that team. And she congratulated everybody for that. So it's hard to kind of prove to them, but once they see it and once they know we're on the right path, that morale starts to build. And it's an amazing team, and they're all working on it together. But because they saw me as someone that was committed to them, gonna fall on the sword for them as well, we're all in this together, they were willing to build with me. And that's where the morale came in with it.
Fantastic. Yeah. And then any other tips on leaders, or do you want to move on to individuals, how the individuals can play a big part? Because sometimes it can just take one colleague can bring the ship down with you.
Yeah. And I don't want to get into it too much, but I called those people out because I knew that I could, because I understood how to treat them. Some people need to be treated in a meeting room, in a quiet situation, and some people need to be called out, held accountable, and then they actually respond to it. They love it. But I couldn't call that person. I could call that person out because I understood them, whereas another person had to go into a meeting room and we had to understand. But the appreciation of these people, we discussed this yesterday, and it's so true. The appreciation that these people want, and it comes with a recognition. They want the pat on the back. They want to know that they're doing a good job. And you can be a harsh boss at times, really, but there's no need to, because if those people are committed with you to go on this journey and build this business again and to get it to the level that it should be, because look, morale, if it's low, the business is low, no doubt. Morale starts to build, the sales start to build, the confidence builds, the belief builds. So yeah, to show the recognition, to show appreciation, and to understand each salesperson is different is vital as a leader.
Thank you, Mark. I just got a question come in. Can you see it, Mark? Yeah, good question. So I'll read the question out. As a leader, how often do you work on your elevator sales pitch or speech to keep winning clients? Is it natural? Now, I've seen your blogs on this, Mark, and I like the way that you talk about it. So I'll let you take that one.
I am a leader. I shouldn't be practicing this, but I am a leader. I help companies who are struggling with sales process implement change so it drives revenue and improves customer experience. There is my elevator pitch. And the three things it's broken down into is, who is your client? What problems do they face? And how do you solve it? Because when a client says to you, so what do you do? All they're caring about is what you can do for them. And if you're coming back saying, I'm in sales or I sell a product and service, it's not enough. And when I say that to people, I help people implement change and drive revenue and improve customer experience. They say, wow, how do you do that? And now all of a sudden somebody's asking me rather than me telling them. So who is your client? What problems do they face? And how do you solve that problem for them? If you can do that in a repetition 5 times a day, to your mum, to your dad, to your colleague, to the dog, whoever it is, you need to get used to it. And when it comes game time and somebody says to you, so what do you do? Bam, you say it.
I think that is crucial, Mark. I would appreciate if you could just go over it one more time, because I think it's one of the more powerful elements. I mean, I struggle myself. I'm 40 years old. I've been in sales for 20 years. I've worked for many different organizations. Sometimes people, what do you do? And I look, I don't know, lots of stuff. I help businesses, using premium business intelligence. How do I do that? I like to help people. That's although I'm in sales, I want to provide a solution that helps. And I think the question that was asked is how is it natural? No, it doesn't feel natural, because you're not used to talking like that. But the more you practice, the more you say it, the more you can develop that kind of pitch about. Just go over those 3 points again, Mark. I'd like to learn from that as well.
So everything we do in sales is about repetition. Okay, you need to be ready when it comes game time for that phone call, because you put the hours in before. And I use the David Beckham analogy of the free kick. He'd taken 1,000 free kicks before, World Cup qualifier.
Just 1 second. We've got an international group here, Mark. I'm not sure.
Everyone knows David Beckham. If
okay.
He's transcended the sport. He's transcended the sport. I believe that so much. David Beckham, free kick taker, thousands of free kicks. When it came game time for England in a World Cup qualifier, he took that free kick, hit the back of the net, and it was just another free kick for him. And that's what it should be when a client says to you, or a person says to you, so what is it you do? And you come back with who your client is. So who is it you help? Who is it you help? So I help businesses, okay? Then you say, what problems do they face? Well, my clients struggle with sales process. And then how do you help them? So I implement change that drives revenue and improves customer experience. Those 3 things. But I'm saying it now, but it took me hundreds of times to really drill it down. And I get people to ask me out the blue, out of nowhere, like, so what is it you do? Because you need to be on the spot.
Nice one, Mark. I've got a really great question next as well. And I know that you're an avid reader. So, and I've asked you this question before, I think about 4 or 5 months ago. Now, this is quite a little bit more specific, because it's to better understand the sales process for professional services, okay? Not just, business intelligence, but for professional services. To understand the sales process for professional services from start to close, are there any books that you could recommend? And give us your #1 book as well. Don't tell me you've got a book, Mark, because I'll just laugh.
The book is coming. The book is coming. Okay. So, look, for me, when it comes to being inspired by others, the morals and the values need to match. So for me, Zig Ziglar, in regards to the beginning of the sale to the end of the sale, is everything that I would aspire to be. So his name is Zig Ziglar. He's a very old school salesperson from Dallas in America. But the way he speaks, the way that he kind of keeps the energy up and tells stories. You know, you don't want somebody to just tell you like, oh, this is how you do it. You need to be entertained, and that's how you're gonna take in this information. So there's a book by him called Start at the Top, and I highly recommend him. And he even has training material. He's a sales training and motivation person. Unfortunately, he passed away, but his son Tom Ziglar has taken over the business. And for me, like, that matches my morals and my ethics and my values. So I would highly recommend that person.
Mark, does that cover sales process though?
Yeah, covers everything.
It does.
Yeah,
and
it covers it. It covers it in a way where you don't really know that it's covering it. Like, so, like, I know that sounds probably a bit weird, but sometimes you want to learn without really it being forced down you. And the way that he's explaining things with different stories, with different examples, all of a sudden you realize, oh, that's pretty cool. I can use that, or that works, or that happens. Like, even I put a video up yesterday, and it was, you know, people talk about an alarm clock. Well, he calls it the opportunity clock. You know, he's not alarmed to get up. He knows that when he gets up, there's an opportunity to seize the day. So process, all of these stages, it all comes with confidence and belief. Like, you can know everything there is to know about sales, but if you haven't got the confidence to ask for the order, then you're not going to get the order. If you haven't got the confidence to pick up the phone, you're not going to make the order.
And I'd like to know, you've read a lot more than me, another book that is just a bit more process driven, if you've got one in mind.
I would say, actually, if you really want to read something that helps you understand your clients better and the way they behave, it's called Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. And what he speaks about, and this is a word that's used quite frequently, but nobody really gets it, is emotional intelligence, which is empathy, which is what makes great salespeople. And one part of empathy is actually, which people don't realize, is self-awareness. So I am extremely aware of not only what my strengths are, but what my weaknesses are. So that's why I can actually say no to some things, because I know that doesn't suit me, it doesn't benefit me. But I know my strengths, I can say yes to it. So it's called emotional intelligence. He looks at the 4 different pillars of emotional intelligence: social relationships, social awareness, self-awareness, and relationship management. Okay. And it really helps you to understand, like, how to speak with clients and how to understand them.
Okay, thanks, Mark. I've got another good question in. What are your thoughts on the issue with price when a prospect client raises this with you? As you know, the issue low is price, especially when the client expectations are unreasonable.
This comes back to saying no as well. Like, there's only a certain price you can go to. And if you value the product, if you value the service, that's what you can go to. But what I will say here is that the way to handle that objection is by asking the question initially in regards to what challenges they've faced. So there's price and then there's cost. So the price might be $10,000, $20,000, but how much does it cost them in the past because they've not used a reliable product or service such as yourselves? And that comes from a question like, in what way or in what challenges have you faced? And they could say, well, you know, to speak about ABiQ, like, you know, we can't get the right contacts on the project. Okay, well, if we could give you a system that gives you those right contact details and the researcher to query it as well, would that be of value to you? Great, that's in the bank. I've banked that now. Now, when it comes to the objection, and they start saying to me it's too expensive, well, I say, well, how much does it cost you not winning those projects because you didn't have the right contacts? A lot less than $10,000–15,000, isn't it? And they go, yeah. And I'm not saying that gets them over the line. That's like the smaller ticket items, but you've kind of won back. You put the ball back in your court, and you can kind of go back at it again. And to go into this a bit further, price isn't really the issue. People use that as an excuse. Oh, it's expensive. Thanks a lot. Appreciate your help, but it's a bit too much for me. It's a basic excuse. And you're not getting the right answer out of them. So I would always say to somebody, if there was a way that I was to show you that the price was more than fair, would you move ahead with us today? And then all of a sudden these other objections open up. Well, no, actually, like I've got this issue and I didn't understand this part of it. So that question is really a smoke and mirror of smoke screen, sorry, of what the real problem is.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I think also on that topic, I think it's all about ROI as well, return on investment. Depending on the ticket size of the deals your clients you're working with are, yeah, they say, oh, $100,000 too expensive. Well, it depends what opportunity they're going to, comes across with the solution you're offering them. If you can show an ROI calculator and say, you might invest this much now, but this is how much money you should be making if you use the tool or the service effectively.
Yeah, and
yeah, go on.
Well, people assume that people already see that. So it's very important to have a thinking pad so you can actually show them. You actually draw it for them because people buy what they see and hear. So they might be hearing it from you, but they need to see it as well. You've got to break it all down for them.
No, top tip. Mark, next question's coming in here. As a solution provider, you must be experienced in how to define a problem and offer an appropriate solution. Does brainstorming on solutions help, or do you just delegate this to your team?
The brainstorming
to define the problem. So as a solution, so yeah, basically, if you've got a problem, is it a good idea to brainstorm it as a group, or do you just delegate that to someone else to do?
Well, no, I mean, just like a client, they think they know what the problem is, but they don't really know it. So it's important to go through this together and start, and all of a sudden you should have that meeting, you should have that sit down and try to resolve the issue as a team. Like leaders, they think with leaders, like they should just have all the answers, but no, like it comes a lot better from solving the problem together with the team.
Yeah. And
when you sit down, all of a sudden, and this could be an employee who thinks that they're great on the phone, and that can't be the problem. That's, they're selling. That can't be the problem why they're not selling. It must be the product. It must be the service. But how about you listen to your call, and you tell me if you think that you sounded good on the phone.
I think everyone thinks they sound good on the phone, but it's a good tip though. I know you've done that in the past. In terms of brainstorming as well, I think it's a very good idea, especially in a group. If you've got a group situation, because the more different opinions and points of views you can bring across, the better it is for everyone. But during the brainstorm, write it down, put it up on a board. If you've got some paper or a sheet or a whiteboard or a window and a marker, write them down. You'll start noticing themes coming out of it as you start to develop, and then you can start picturing it and putting together how to solve that problem. That's on a simple scale.
Yeah, and I think it'll be quite good to have a timeline of that as well, because somebody could give a solution, or somebody could highlight a problem, but that solution might take 1 week or it might take 1 year. So don't be looking for quick wins with something that's going to take a year. Really understand, like, okay, well, what is the problem? How are we going to solve it? And how long will that take? We've got over the next 6 months, we're going to try and solve these problems, but this is the first one, second one, to do a roadmap, do a timeline.
Mark, I know we could probably sit and talk here all day, but we've got about 5 minutes left. So I'll just take the last question that I've got on the chat here. And it's, what is your view on the ideal follow-up process with clients to get deals closed? Tips appreciated as well.
All right, I love this one. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
First of all, most of us call up and say, just following up. Did you get my proposal? Did you get my agreement? Oh, what's happening there? Well, the reason why social media is so powerful now is that if you're in front of somebody without really pressuring them, then they're going to remember you. And it's without following up, without trying to chase them. So that's why I do these daily videos. That is why I send clients information about something they might be working on. I'm adding value. I'm giving value to that client. Now, is it going to make the client pick up the phone and say, oh, let's take it right now? Sometimes yes, but I'm always in that person's mind. And then when it does come time and I am following up, they've seen me everywhere. They're friends with them on LinkedIn. Communication is like not taking from them. So we don't want to be just following up. I'm just following up. Like, they know where your call's coming. They know why you're calling, and they won't accept it. They see your email, they won't accept it. They won't bother to respond to it. And they might be ghosting you because they've not got the cojones to say no to you. So it's who's going to give up first, really. So
tips,
that's why
tips for those of us who don't have social media, videos of posting every day. What should the follow-up process be?
No, email market information. Email market information to them, and then it's something which is not being. And sorry, let me go back a little bit here. So even today, I sent a proposal to a client. What is the timeline to follow up? So you've sent something, you've not understood any of the structure of the business. And this is why needs analysis is so important. So we got to this in the end. Needs analysis, one vital question is, when somebody proceeds with a product with you or service with you, or you buy a product or service, what does that look like? What is the chain that it goes through? Does it go to finance? Does it go to CEO? Because if you sent a proposal and you're following up over 2 days, when you've not understood that it actually takes 3 weeks to get any sort of board meeting, then you're throwing into the wind and you're not able to move forward. So understanding the structure of the business will lead to a better follow-up.
Thanks, Mark. That's awesome. Right. I'd just like to say thank you so much, Mark Sclaire. And thank you so much, Hugh, as well. I know we haven't spoken to you for ages, but all of a sudden the time's run out. And so thank you very much. Anyone got anything else to say, Mark or Hugh?
I just want to say thank you so much, Dave. Thank you, Mark. The presentation was brilliant. My key takeaway from Mike was that a good salesperson asks questions and listen. I think that's something that I learned from Mark. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you. Yeah. So
that's
some fantastic tips there. Hopefully this will be available on recording, that you can pick up some of the tips and tricks that Mark shared throughout the conversation, and also Hug's input in terms of the importance of data as well. So thank you very much for joining us on the ABiQ webinar. It's been our pleasure. Go on, Mark. I'll let you finish.
To mention one last thing, if people are looking for those needs analysis and discovery questions, please message and we get them sent over to them.
Great. Mark, I'll let you finish off with your trademark. Goodbye.
That's it for today. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.